Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our May Hug of 2024. My name is Brie. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, thank you for coming back. Today I have Travis with me. Trav is our head of growth here, and you're going to be hanging around for the next couple of hugs, which is great.
I've got one more. I've been contracted for one more.
One more. Secretly contracted for one more. Well, today we're talking about Content Hub, which, yes, HubSpot has brought out another new hub, but I wouldn't say it's completely new. It's simply replacing what you probably know as CMS Hub. So I have brought Trav here today to basically help us understand what this means for you if you are a new HubSpot user, what that means for you, but if you're also already using Marketing Hub and also CMS Hub, what that means for you as well. There's a bunch of new features, which is super exciting, and it's all to do with creating and managing content. So I say we jump into it.
For sure. There's a bit to chew through.
A little bit to chew through. So we'll start with the simple question. What is Content Hub, and basically what is changing, and why is it moving from CMS Hub to Content Hub?
So the reason that I guess they kind of did a bit of a move is, I guess last year in September, they came out with a big launch on AI.
Yeah.
Like every other
Massive
software business. And that's kind of, I think, unlocked a few opportunities for HubSpot to be able to leverage content, essentially. So we'll go through a couple of this, and this is a lot of the AI stuff coming into the creation of content that kind of fit into, I guess, the content space.
Yep.
So when we're looking, when they had the CMS Hub, which is essentially the creation of content like your website, etc., I think what they sort of said is, okay, well, I think what we could do is package this up to include some of the AI tools.
Yep.
And then package up, I guess, some of the existing tools. It can get a little bit complex, mainly because if you're a legacy customer and you knew Marketing Hub, which was essentially like where you created your content in the past,
Yep.
and a CMS Hub customer, I think one of the biggest questions you ask is, well, what's different, what's changed, and how does this apply to me in my organization? We're going to go through all of that today. But I think the big part around it is Content Hub essentially is a place where marketers can go through and create content for their organization using the existing tools, but also the new AI tools that they've come in. I will say there are tools as well that aren't AI that have been brought into Content Hub, which we'll cover as well in today's catch-up. But essentially, it's just a bit more of a laser focused on, hey, if you've got someone in your organization that is in charge of creating content, here are the tools that you can use to help speed it up, leverage it, and also just obviously keep it within the ecosystem of HubSpot.
Yeah, awesome. I think when I think of Marketing Hub and CMS Hub, I think of, I guess, content creation and marketing, but then website. And that's kind of used to be the separation. But I think now it's to do with marketing as a strategy and then content creation. And I think content creation is just growing faster and faster. You have to get more out there in order to get more reach. So I think the idea is to help that journey, so to speak.
Yeah. I'll probably dive into, okay, well, so some people out there might have Marketing Startup, Marketing Pro, Marketing Enterprise, and some of you guys might have CMS Startup, Pro, and Enterprise too. So it probably would be a good start, just so that we all know how this can affect you and, like, do I get it? What do I get? What don't I get? Etc. I think this is a good where to start, because I think there's a lot of questions around. I know I had a lot of questions, and it took me a bit to process it. There wasn't anyone like us to be like, hey, this is just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I think first and foremost, we will have something on the screen now, just giving you a bit of a walkthrough, not now, but just as I speak through, which will really talk through, I guess, what it kind of like looks like now, like in the past, and what it looks like now. So I think the number one thing is that, like, if we look at the existing Marketing Hub, right? We had, if you had Pro, this is kind of Pro and above. Starter is kind of like a watered down version of Pro, but we had blogs, landing pages, social, email, ads, file templates,
campaigns.
Going to walk down campaigns,
1, 2, 3.
File manager, and design tools.
Yep. And if you have Pro, I think you can also get automation as well, but that's just part of it, right?
Part of it as well, yeah. So that was the first part, and I think that's what you kind of existently had. Then we came out with Content Hub, right? So Content Hub has a whole bunch of new things that you can do. I'm going to look down because I don't want to forget anything. But we have got, we've got Content Remix, Brand Voice, Podcasts, Content Embeds, AI Content Translation, and Custom Blog Post Generator. So there's some of the new tools. We also, I think it's important to know that like there is also some of these tools that kind of get included and not included with some of the tools that you might legacy have. So first and foremost, if you have CMS Hub customers, you will get access to the gated content library, which we'll cover all of this stuff a bit later on. You'll get gated blogs, you'll get a basic blog post generator, an AI website builder, an AI image generation, and blog post narration. So these are the new features that you get if you have CMS Hub. These are the features that you do not get if you're an existing CMS Hub customer.
Not allowed.
Can you just tell that this is confusing? But we only have to go through this once, and then once you get the idea, like all new customers don't have to worry about this, right? So you do not get access to Content Remix, Brand Voice, Podcasts, Content Embeds, AI Content Translation, and the Custom Blog Generator.
Okay.
So if you're a CMS Hub customer, you now know what you get extra, but you also now know what you do not get. We'll also talk about how to get those as well a bit later on.
And for Marketing Hub as well.
Good call. So what we're going to talk about is the Content Hub versus the Marketing Hub features, right? So I'm going to categorize it that what do Content Hub only customers get? What do Marketing Hub customers get? And what are the shared features between them both, right? So if you've got Marketing Hub only, you'll still get the smart content for marketing emails. You'll get A/B split testing for marketing. You'll get permissions for email forms, CTAs. You'll get email approvals, and then the free version of the blog and landing pages, etc.
Cool.
You also still get the automation and all that sort of jazz. Automation is not really a content side of things, but we'll focus around the content side. If you just have from a Content Hub only perspective, they are now including blogs, landing pages, smart content, A/B testing for pages only, not email, for pages only, adaptive testing, content approvals, permissions for blog pages, forms, and CTAs, and multi-language content creation. HubSpot's bringing out a new thing called Marketing Hub Plus.
It's just Marketing Plus.
Marketing Plus.
Yeah, just Marketing Plus.
If you're confused, join the
club.
Hopefully, if you've got any questions, I will say, if you've got any questions and there's a chat bot or in the comments below, just drop them in there. We're happy to help and answer them because we've had to do it with everybody that we work with.
Yes.
So Content Hub and Marketing Hub, what are the shared features of this Marketing Plus? Well, you get everything, but the shared features are forms and smart forms, CTAs and smart CTAs, SEO recommendations and analytics, Google Search Console integration, content strategy, video hosting and management, and website analytics. So there's like a bit of a breakdown of, I guess, what some people get and what some people don't get based on legacy. But does that answer some of? Is there any ambiguity around that?
I think the only thing I would like, after hearing all that, the split, right, between, should I get, if I have Marketing Hub, should I get content just because I should? Or if I have CMS, should I upgrade to content now? And I think to answer that question is, what do you do day to day? Do you just focus on emails and forms and just the marketing side of things, or are you creating and managing content every single day? And I think that will answer your question. You don't need to upgrade for the sake of upgrading, I think, but if you are managing a lot of content, might be worth looking into the Marketing Plus side of things.
I will say, so with and I'll go through these now. I think with the features that are in Content Hub, if you are an existing Marketing Hub customer, or CMS that be. I think that there are a few features that have been released that will open up opportunities within the organization. So I'll run through some of the stuff that Content Hub has that you can kind of work through.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And I think that might be, we'll step through all of these new features for Content Hub. We'll break down each of them so that we kind of give you a really good idea about the purpose, the intent, and also how it kind of works. And then I think making that decision for you guys, or for your own organization, whether whether that can fit in. I know that marketers that are creating a lot of content are looking for opportunities to create new content and be like, well, how can I either disperse or syndicate or distribute the content that I've got more? Or how can I take what I'm doing and put it on a different platform?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's so many new platforms these days. It can feel very hard to keep up. So I do think a lot of these new features help you keep up with the ever-evolving landscape. Let's call it that. Yeah.
All right, so if you are looking to move across to Content Hub, I think there's a few things that I'd kind of want to pull out that is brand new on the platform. And I think I think for us as an organization, it kind of got us asking the question, maybe we should start doing that as well.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably start on the podcast one. Everyone's got a podcast. You can have a podcast now as well.
We want a podcast.
Yeah.
I want a podcast. You want a podcast.
So the podcast area that is inside HubSpot is an area in which essentially hosts specific information. Now, if you're not privy with podcasts can be syndicated using an RSS feed across the different platforms. Apple, Spotify, a whole bunch of different platforms that you can have podcasts.
We got there.
Yeah,
we got
there in the end. The thing with that is that it's hosted somewhere and it plays from where it's hosted. HubSpot's essentially doing that for you here. Now it's able to go through, and we'll have a video go through. You can set up a podcast as you go through. You can name the podcasts, do the show description, add the hosts on what it is, the emails, artworks, show categories, etc. Now, essentially, this is building up the platform or the profile that sends through to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything like that as well. From that, you're able to then go ahead and record the podcasts. You're able to upload the audio to HubSpot, which will then syndicate that across to the relevant platforms that you want to sort of distribute your content in.
Cool.
The good thing about it is that you're able to have it in one place and able to sort of manage your podcasts in one place as a marketing tool as well. I think it's also one to note too that you can also use AI generated texts for the podcasts. Not a big fan of it. I mean, sure, if you want to, that's fine. I think people are going to know. No matter how realistic, it does say that it is hyper realistic AI generated audio to text. I genuinely think you should be doing it yourself, but hey, give it a crack. The tool is there if you want to use it for you to go ahead and create AI audio texts to AI audio.
I think there's something to be said about enjoying a very human podcast with laughs and mistakes and
100%.
hearing it come from the person themselves. But also, on the other hand, it can be super useful as more of maybe an accessibility thing rather than just a podcast thing. So if you do want to make your content more accessible quickly, you could use that. But not necessarily, I don't think, for an actual podcast. It makes sense, but...
Sure. Audiobooks maybe. I don't know.
That's a fantastic, fantastic
if you're writing a book
point.
and you want, I don't know, and you can't afford Tom Hanks to voice your audio, then you can go ahead and use that one.
That's actually a really good idea.
So that's the podcast tool that we have there. So I think that if you have been considering starting a podcast, there's a really great opportunity for you guys to use that tool there to sort of help manage it. Because in the past, you've had to host it somewhere else, and there are certain tools out there, but there's just one. It's a fairly easy tool to use. I think they've thrown AI in there so that you can utilize that if need be. But more, I think from a marketer standpoint, it's in one place, it's easy to manage, and then you can sort of go from there.
I think if I remember natively, like Spotify for podcasters, it will just do it to Spotify, for example. So I think this makes it a lot easier instead of managing it on multiple platforms or anything like that. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, nice. I think the next one in the Content Hub that I kind of wanted to go through is brand voice. So the issue that I have fundamentally with AI is the fact that, you know, when you write something in there and you try to prompt it to be like, be more human, like you're trying to prompt it to have a sense of humor in your sense, and everyone's sense of humors are probably a little bit different. A little bit quirky, not a little bit quirky, a little bit serious, not serious, like always funny, always not funny. And there's so many different variations of like how spoken words or written words in any way, shape, or sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I actually have a really good example of this.
Yeah.
I was doing some content writing and I was like, oh, I'd love this to be a bit more like larrikin Australian vibes. So I tried to ask it to, you know, add some Australian humor in, and it full on went, oh, put a shrimp on the barbie, we're on the beach, the shot starts at the beach in Bondi, and I was like, what? Like, I don't think it works all the time, but it's fun.
And I will say that there are a few GPTs that you can kind of snap into for ChatGPT. So there are different organizations that are kind of like starting to like integrate with ChatGPT to be able to sort of sound a bit more human, but again, we're going off platform to do that as well. So brand voice essentially is it's a great area for you to go through. You'll see on the screen right now, we're going into the settings area. We're clicking on account defaults, and then we're going up to branding. And this is just our test account that you've got here, but we're clicking on my brand kit or whatever that brand kit. You'll notice, if you're getting a trial, by the way, get a trial and trial this out. Reach out to either us or your HubSpot rep and get a trial. So you can just play with the tools a little bit as well. But in the brand voice area, you will notice this area saying, keep your written content on brand. This is perfect. And I think this is perfect because what you're doing here is you're essentially training the AI to speak like you. So when we go through, we're going to provide a writing sample. We automatically use the brand voice in all of the AI that's sort of generated on HubSpot. So that's across everything. So whether that's blogs or whether it's in workflows, if you're asking, whatever that might be, you can utilize it there. And then basically what you can do is that if there's something specific that's like not necessarily on brand, you can identify it and say, hey, no, that is not good. And then it will go, oh yeah, sweet, I remember that.
So sorry.
Don't do that again.
I won't do that again.
So what it's going to do is it's going to ask for at least 500 words of how you would write.
Cool.
Now, I would say more is better. Less. Don't try and hit 500. Use an existing blog or use any sort of written material that your organization has created that is in the voice of how you want it to roll. I think that if you're not much of a writer and you don't know and you want to get started into it, this is a really great opportunity. And I will tell you, if you're not a good writer or whatnot, record using your phone and speak. And speak how you expect your brand voice to be. And then I think you can take that and then have that. There's probably an app that can translate that, no doubt, and then put that in there. Because I think then, like for our tone of voice here at Neighborhood, it is a conversational tone of voice. So we always write in our blogs and our communications as if we're sitting with somebody and having a conversation. We don't try to use complex words. We speak as if we're talking to somebody on a couch.
A human.
A human. So it's natural for us, if we were going to go ahead and do something like this, to just write how we speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
That will mimic it. You will notice that the type of sample that it's asking here would be like, is it a blog, is it an article, newsletter, is it a social post? That gives it context, I think, and then also the target audience for the sample as well. So it's really important, like, are you a B2C, B2B? Do you have a specific niche in an industry? It's really important to put that in there as well. So once you go through and enter, I guess, some of your tone of voice, it will go then saying, hey, can we just pick some of the personalities of like how that tone of voice. So
cool.
pretend like your business is a person. When you're in your head, when you're conversing with that person, what's their personality? So like, for example, some of them might be human, irrelevant, kind, nurturing, quirky, rebellious, relatable, sophisticated, supportive, thoughtful, and trustworthy. You can select up to 4 different types of personalities that will, I guess, try to contextualize what you wrote as well. But also it's going to look into at least 4 characteristics of the tone of how you like. And this is kind of where that sort of conversational part will come in. So a few examples here, and I'm not going to list them all out, but there's going to be cheerful, casual, colloquial, commanding, compassionate, confident, conversational.
A lot of C's in there.
I mean, that's just the C's. There's probably about 100. Witty, whimsical, warm, urgent, uplifting. There's a lot of these different types of tones as well. So once you go through and then basically put that through, that's going to load that into the back end, and you'll see basically a whole bunch of other things that you'll need to do. The next one will be context, so your company mission. You want to put in the company mission to help the AI improve and understand what the company's about and how it works. And then basically you can turn the brand voice on for different specific tools.
Oh, cool.
Blog, email, pages, and then social as well.
Great.
Your output would be significantly better than it has been in the past, and it won't be written by a robot. Well, it's written by a robot, but it won't sound like a robot. But as a robot. Again, it's not going to be perfect, so make sure you look over it.
Please read over it.
Make sure you do some, copy reviews. But overall, it would be in a better place than it was or it has been in the past.
Awesome. AI is coming really far. We did a hug on AI at the beginning of the year in January, and just in that short amount of time, it's already just,
Well, say I did find a really good GPT on ChatGPT called Humanize.
Yes.
It's not there anymore. But we used it. And we got something written, and I was like, hey, let's try this Humanized GPT, put it through, and I was like, wow. It was fantastic.
Maybe they were taking it too far.
Yeah, I don't know, but then I couldn't find it again, so I was like, you guys need to come back. But I'm sure it's definitely a thing that people wanting more of, but it's now inside HubSpot using the Content Hub.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. So the next is embeds, and I think one of the main features and reasons that people would move to HubSpot is the personalization tools.
Definitely.
And not a lot of people use it, but like if we're using HubSpot CMS or we're using landing pages or anything, or even blogs, if that form submissions come through and the cookie is on their computer, we can bring in personalized tokens to pop up and say, welcome back, Trav, or any CRM data essentially. It doesn't get used as much as people should, but you can. This is now available, I think, for the embeds tool. So you're actually able to utilize this feature for the personalization, not on HubSpot. Not on HubSpot CMS, not on blogs, not on landing pages or anything like that. If you've got a WordPress site, for example, you're able to go ahead and bring this module across into WordPress and then use the same tools that you would be able to use inside a third party or external platform. The next one is Content Remix. Took a while for me to get my head around this one.
I am still getting my head around this one, so please explain it.
Have you ever created a blog?
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Well, that's the end of that one. If you've ever created a blog and then, the rule of thumb is, hey, I've spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on creating this content. Can I syndicate it across other blog posts, social posts, ads, campaign emails, anything of that matter? Now, it's a bit of a job to go ahead. And so say, for example, I've written a blog about the new Content Hub, right? It's a blog post, it's well informed, I've got a whole lot of information here, right? Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to create a campaign email to say, hey guys, guess what? Content has just come out. You should get around it. It's got all these cool new features. Stoked, go. Gonna go back in, write the email, probably reference the blog a little bit, and then link back out to the blog and say, hey, if you want to read more, go ahead and do that. Second as well is that, hey, I want to syndicate this content not only on email, but in social. So I'll create a social post.
And that could be across multiple platforms.
Correct. Also, I want to get people viewing my blog that might be outside my network. So I'm going to go ahead and create ads on Google on Facebook or anything like that. But also at the same time is that I've created content about Content Hub, but I probably want to write a blog specifically about the Remix tool. There's a lot of work there. So the reason I'm listing all of these out one by one is because you're taking a piece of content that was originally written and you're literally cutting it up, remixing it up, essentially, to syndicate on different platforms. It can be laborious, it could be very long, it can take you a whole lot of time, but if you really take a look at it, all right, I'm going to take a blog, it's going to take a couple of hours to write, maybe cut it down to an hour with AI and then edit it and whatnot. Then I've got to go ahead and write contextually about that blog in an email. It's going to take a lot of time. This is where the Remix tool comes in. So I'm going to show you a little bit on how this works. I think you guys will just sort of get it straight off the gate.
Yep.
But it sort of gives you a bit of an indication. For me, I think this one, for a content marketer, is the coolest.
I think it will save a lot of time.
But also, like, if you're writing a whole lot of content, you're doing 10 times more output of content by doing this.
Yes.
It was a bit confusing at the start, but I'll explain it to you. So, welcome to Content Remix. This is the tool, go to marketing, content, and remix. This is in beta, mind you, so things could change. Now you can create your own content remix and say, hey, I'm going to be creating a blog or a social post, and this is where I want to syndicate it to. But there are some templates that you can use underneath here just to help expedite that. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this promote content to a wider audience, which is kind of what I just sort of spoke to you about. I'm going to use this template, right? Now you can instantly see here that it looks a little bit like a workflow.
It does.
Looks a little bit like a workflow.
Yeah.
You can see two levels of it as well. So before I get started with this content remix, I feel like they should have given it a different name, but that's fine. I'm going to say, hey, Mr. AI, I want you to, at the very top here, you can sort of see, I want you to take my content, but then I want you to use AI to write another blog post, to write a social post, to write an email and write an ad. But then on top of that, I want you to take that blog post that you've remixed and rewritten for me, and I want you to then do another social post and an email and an ad based on that second one that was originally created from that original blog post.
I'm following now.
I wonder how deep you could get with this.
You could probably get really deep.
Yep. So let's get going. So right, I've already written my blog. So I'm going to click on add content. I'm going to use a blog post. You can use landing pages or site pages.
Cool. Okay.
I'm going to click on select a piece of content, and this is our test account, so I've got no idea what is in here, but cultivating brand tribes, HubSpot's Aussie guide. I've got no idea what that is, but let's just say for example. So we're going to click on the blog, right? And we're going to start adding the attributes to it. So basically, it's saying that this is from the default blog. This will show up in your HubSpot account as your blog. Basically, the objective of the blog post is to promote content to a wider audience by expanding upon single key takeaways that represent a compelling fact. Now, this is just basically coming out of the box because it was a template that was used to promote content to a wider audience. We want to go ahead and we want to have maybe a long one, and maybe we want to include generated images as well in this blog post. AI generated images aren't great. I just want to say that. Please use better images than AI generated images. We're not there yet.
They're a lot of fun to giggle at, but that's about as far as they go.
Not good at hands.
Hands. They are getting better at hands. It is scaring me.
Hands, faces.
They're good at environments, maybe. And it also depends on the tool you use to create the generated images. So just look at them before, if you are going to use them. Have a look.
Use good judgment.
Is it going to increase trust with your audience as well? Because AI and trust and humans at the moment, it's an interesting kind of dynamic. A lot of brands are using AI generated images and it's decreasing a lot of trust with those brands. So just be careful with images.
Absolutely. So we can see here with our social attributes, what we're going to do. So like, for example, we've got Brie's personal LinkedIn account here. We want to write what the objective is for the social posts. Like we can say inform, inform audience about key topics of the post. Email attributes as well. So what templates are we going to be using? The templates will be inside your account if you've got them. We've got the business unit with neighborhood. And what we're going to sort of say is I am going to write the same thing just for the sake of speed here. There you go. And then also I've got ads in here as well. So like, what is the objective of the ads that you want to create as well? And so we're just adding attributes, what the intent purpose is for each of these. We'll go through a lot of ad accounts. So, okay, so we've added them all. We're going to click on generate content here. As we click on generate content, you'll see the wheels are spinning somewhere in Boston or somewhere, an AWS server somewhere around the world. It's now taking that original blog post that I had about in HubSpot's Aussie guide to cultivating brands. I can see here that it's automatically created an ad. It's already written an email. It's created a social post for LinkedIn, and it's got emojis as well. Rocket emojis.
I love a rocket emoji.
Transform your brand into a thriving community with HubSpot. It's taking a little bit longer for the blog post because I do remember it saying I do want a long blog post that's kind of on topic, but somewhat different to the one that I've got as well. So it's taking a little bit longer than expected. Insert waiting music.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right, that's done.
Oh.
All right, so the blog post is now done. It's sort of boost your brand with HubSpot in Australia. So it's created a new blog. From that second level, it's created a new ad, it's created a new email, and it's created a new social post. That's probably...
It has been like 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute I've created
If that.
a blog, 2 social posts, 2 emails, and 2 ads for Google in a minute, which is good. Now, I'm going to sit here and say, cool your jets and say that you will need to review all of this.
Absolutely.
I will say that if you did put your brand voice in there, it will be in your brand voice.
Yep.
So it's going to be a whole lot closer to what you or how you write normally within your organization. But if we take a look at some of these here as well, we'll click into it. You know, we can see here that there's substantial work being done, and it's actually not that bad. You'll notice that it's written quite long. It's a great basis to get started. So as a content marketer using this tool specifically, you're taking an existing piece of content that you've written and you are syndicating it and you are creating new assets based off that across different channels and mediums as well. Now, you're able to add more and more. When you click on the plus button, you can create SMSs, ads, landing pages, emails. You can create audio files for that AI blog that you just started. So there's a whole bunch of different content types that you can create that will automatically spin it up for you. I think this is a great tool. I think this is a great tool because it expedites the thinking. Sometimes when you are a content writer, you can get creative block.
Absolutely.
Because you just do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
This really expedites that and really sort of extrapolate the idea that you have and really syndicate it so that realistically you're managing the content. You're not necessarily having to go through and write it all, but you're managing the quality of it and then tweaking it as you go through.
Exactly.
Please use good judgment when doing this stuff as well. Do not turn into an organization that goes ahead and just whips out content and bang, 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 bang. People know.
Yeah.
I know when people do it. I look at it straight away. People can see it. People aren't impressed about the amount of content that you create. They're impressed about how you can help them with the content that you create. So that's something to keep in mind.
Educate. Don't generate, educate. I don't know.
Well, you want to generate.
Generate, but
You want to generate.
I will come up with a better
You want to generate
term,
and
I
educate.
promise.
So I think great tool. If you are writing a whole lot of content, this is going to be a good one. And if you think, we'll talk about pricing in just a moment, but if you are creating a whole lot of content and you want to create a whole lot more content and you want to syndicate your content, for example, we create a lot of content here.
Yeah.
We syndicate it but if we could syndicate it even quicker,
Absolutely.
hot damn.
Yeah.
The next part that we've got has kind of been a tool. It's called memberships. It's kind of been a tool more so for like the CMS enterprise sort of. It's more for the CMS enterprise's membership. So it's gated content. And I spoke to a prospect yesterday about this. Essentially, what you can do is you can add people into a list, and it can be an active or a static list. And then basically what you can do is you can have content on a specific page only show if someone is active within that list. Say, for example, that you have gated content specifically. So you have a page that says, hey, here are the details for our next event, or here's a resource page that you can go ahead and download a whole bunch of tools, but you need to be a client of Neighborhoods, or you need to pay to have access to this.
Yep.
Essentially, if they submit that a form on your website, and they're able to go ahead and install a cookie onto their computer, you can direct them to a certain page. Now, if the cookie matches up with the email address, huzzah, you've got access and you can see the page. If you don't, then they'll have to submit that form to go ahead, and if it matches the criteria of the email address that they use that is in the list that you've given, that you've put them in there, they'll get access to it as well. So you're able to gate your content just by having somebody in a list.
That's awesome.
It's kind of been around for a while, but
yeah,
it's now up to the masses.
You can kind of start bringing that in with Commerce Hub as well. If you wanted to pay for certain content or gate certain areas, you could bring it all together.
Unless someone's very good at guessing email addresses that might be on a list, it's very, 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 very rare that someone might be able to guess it.
Yeah. Very funky, very cool.
Very funky.
I'm bringing it back.
I don't think it was ever, it's gone.
It was gone.
All right, so I think the most important question is the pricing side of things. I think that we've spoken about existing CMS, existing marketing, and new content hub. Let's chat about what it could potentially look like, I think, for organizations. I'll throw to you, Brie, just around, I guess, what it might be out of the box. I will preface by saying that if you have existing agreements in place, my recommendation would be to reach out to HubSpot directly, or your rep, or whoever you dealt with at the very start there. Have a chat to them about getting a trial. That would be the first thing. But have a chat to them about what that pricing would look like. This is off the website, so don't get blown away to be like, oh my God, that's really expensive. They'll be different for everybody. Everyone's got different agreements. So this is just off the website. It's not necessarily the price of what it's going to be for your organization. So Brie, did you want to talk about what it is off the website?
Yeah, I got you. So starting off, as always, Content Hub does have a free version. And we do have a couple of things in there, including, the website builder and landing pages and some other basic stuff, which I think is really good if you just want to test out the waters a little bit, but also you can always get a free trial as well. So that's there.
We'll put this pricing up on the screen so you can kind of see. And again, this is off the website.
Yep. Then we move on to Starter, which starts at around $20 a month per seat. Moving on to Professional, it's at $500 a month with 3 seats included. And Enterprise is $1,500 a month with 5 seats included. So that is just to make that clear, that's just for Content Hub specifically, not for the mix between marketing and Content Hub. So Professional is kind of where everything starts to get a bit fun and interesting. That's where you can get your podcasting, your content remixes, your brand voice, everything like that. So if you're after the fun stuff we talked about today, that's where it lives. On the other hand, HubSpot has a new product called Marketing Plus, and this is the conjoinment of Content Hub and Marketing Hub as well. So if you already have Marketing Hub and you'd like to look into adding some of these cool features into the mix of your HubSpot portal, what we're looking at is, I'll just get me numbers up. So if you already have Marketing Pro, you can turn that into, you can add Content Hub and turn it into Marketing Plus for a total sum of $1,000 a month. And if you have Marketing Enterprise,
is that on top of?
No, total sum.
Okay.
Total sum, per month. And if you have Marketing Enterprise and you want to add Content Hub to turn it into Marketing Plus Enterprise, you can do that for a total sum of $3,800. So you're basically adding a little portion of money on top of that. If, like I said, if you want to give it a try first, maybe go do a free trial, see if it adds that value for your company, and go from there. So 2 options: you can just buy Content Hub on its own, or you can try out the Marketing Plus bundle.
Yeah, awesome. Again, contact your HubSpot rep, or you can reach out to us, and then we'll point you in the right direction as well. But I think if you've got an existing Marketing Hub subscription or a CMS, it should be a couple $100.
Yes, at the end of the day.
Yeah. So have a think about how long it takes to create all this content, manage the content from podcasts, AI, website translation, all this sort of stuff, and just think, hey, is the juice worth the squeeze? Again, my recommendation, get a trial, have a play around with it, get around it, because I think for those that are creating and quite active within the marketing space, I think it could be beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's everything we've covered today. If you want more information, HubSpot has a bunch of information on their website about Content Hub, or you can talk to us. I'll put an email down on the screen somewhere, or you can reach out in the chat before we go. Now, coming up in June, on June 27th, actually, we have our next hub, which we're talking all about the prospecting space. So I might hand it over to Trav to give us a quick breakdown on what we'll be learning for that one.
Yeah, so prospecting space came out at Inbounds last year in September. It was an okay tool. It made sense. Basically, really about the managing leads within HubSpot. Now, a lot of organizations used to use the lead status, but you kind of needed to run lists and you kind of needed to do that sort of stuff, and you could use reports on it. But then also some people, majority of people, are running and putting their leads in the deal board, which really the deal board should really only house qualified leads. This segments those two together, segments them apart, so that you're able to manage the unqualified leads that you do get for people to grab a large amount of leads, work through those leads, see the activity, be able to book in, have a chat with them, move on to the next. So SDR teams or pre-sales teams, this is kind of where you will live. It's great. They've had improvements with AI. Started to use it every day myself, more so just around things like the AI will remind you to follow up on specific emails that you haven't responded to, high engagement with specific leads, it'll show you that as well, give you call outcomes and be able to prepare. That is really cool. If you've got a meeting coming up, it will prepare, it will scour the internet and use AI to give you context about that company before you jump onto a call. That's really cool. It's a really cool feature, I think, that probably just doesn't get as much recognition as you need. You will need Sales Pro and above to be able to use these features, but by and large, it is a fantastic tool if you're in sales, because it's a lot of value in there.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, I'm pumped too. I don't even do sales, and I'm excited. Well, that is all we have time for today. Thank you to Trav for joining me, and thank you to you guys for sticking around as well. If you want tickets to the Prospecting Hug on June 27th, make sure to check out our Hug page, or you can also get a lot of these updates in our emails. We have a HubSpot update email, and we also have other HubSpot boosts and updates and stuff like that on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure to check that out. Don't know what a HubSpot boost is, but I said it.
I know.
We're making
I was thinking in my head, I was going to ask you afterwards what it is.
Not sure.
If you want to get an injection of HubSpot knowledge.
We got you. Okay, guys. Well, we'll see you next time, and thanks for popping along. See you later.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.